So ever since I was a kid, I've been a huge fan of wrestling. I imagined everything from a wrestling perspective. The start of a new academic year was like the Royal Rumble, lots of familiar faces coming back and lots of returns. Even moving from job to job felt like going from one wrestling company to another. Hell, a promotion even felt like a title win. Nevertheless, my life was all about wrestling. And later on, I met a bunch of awesome people who actually wrestled, and they taught me a lot. Sadly, that journey had to be cut short given some circumstances, but hopefully soon though. Now, I wouldn't say that I'm a wrestler, not yet anyways, but I do have my fair share of knowledge that I want to share with you guys. And I am a huge admirer of the craft and hoping that one day I get to actually step in the ring and perform. Bottom line, still am a wrestling freak. And I don't care what people think about that. And now I want to share my passion and love for this art because people got the wrong idea about wrestling, and I'm hoping to actually change that. So let's start with some simple wrestling terms that would actually get you familiar with wrestling. First, we have babyface and heel. Now, every story has to have good versus evil, some sort of conflict to keep the story going. Usually now people just use face and heel. Up next, angle. Basically, an angle is a storyline or a plot that plays out during the match. Not just during the match, also during segments as well. Story they're trying to portray like a play. But it's not just a one-night deal. These angles can go up to weeks, if not months, if not even years. Hell, some stories are even labeled 20 years in the making. Up next, we have kayfabe. Now, kayfabe is the concept of keeping the illusion alive, not breaking character. It's like actors staying in character even after they're done performing, keeping the illusion alive for the audience involved. Now, speaking of kayfabe, we also have something called a work, which is basically blurring the line between reality and fiction. And it's basically giving the high illusion that this is real. Now, this can happen anywhere. Could happen during matches, could happen in interviews, could happen backstage. It used to be a well-kept secret that the audience did not even know about. Kept them guessing, is this real or is this fake? Like, what's going on? The suspense. Great storytelling. Also, we have a shoot, which is basically a real or unscripted event that occurs during the match or even backstage, breaking the illusion of kayfabe. This usually happens between wrestlers who don't really like each other in real life, but they have to perform. They could conflict backstage and it would spill all the way to the ring. Some people might think that, oh, hey, this is just a work. In reality, it's actually a shoot. This is where we say sometimes shit gets real, like real. On the note of conflict, we also have a promo, which is basically a scripted or improvised speech delivered by wrestlers to build anticipation for the upcoming events. It shows the animosity between the two characters or between the two wrestlers. It's good for amazing storytelling. Using the right words at the right time with the right reaction, oh my god, that is just perfection. And it resonates with the audience. Now, speaking of crowd reactions, we also have a 2-for-1 special. We have heat and pop. Whereas heat is usually the negative response from the audience or the crowd, it's often expressed through boos or jeers and whatnot, or chants even. A pop is quite the opposite. It's where the audience actually cheer for this character. Their hero is going to the ring or their hero is doing something. That's how the audience show their support to their favorite characters. It's usually the measuring stick that the creators actually use to go on with their story. Boos or cheers, who cares? It's a reaction, and it means that they're doing their job right. Also, we have ring psychology, which is basically the art of storytelling and manipulating the audience's emotion during a wrestling match. It's often done through pacing, selling, and in-ring actions. If you know what your audience wants and you know what to give them, then you get a great reaction and a great pop. Up next, we'll talk about gimmicks. A gimmick is the persona or character portrayed by the wrestler, often characterized through unique costumes, mannerism, or catchphrases. Like The Undertaker's gimmick was all about darkness, Prince of Darkness. Mankind with his creepiness and his mask. Kane with his red attire and his mask and his flames and all that. But it doesn't have to always be that crazy. We also have Stone Cold Steve Austin, which is basically based on his real life persona. Somewhat. The Rock, the same as Dwayne Johnson, just dialed up to 11. Basically whatever gets the audience paying attention and paying to see that character more and more. And it's also good for merch sales. So this next point, I gathered up a bunch of points and I just piled them up into one. We got spot, high spot, and squared circle. Now let's start with the spot. Spot is a planned sequence of moves or maneuvers that is done throughout the entire match to actually showcase what they can do. They often include high-risk maneuvers or even signature moves. A high spot is basically a high-impact maneuver or a visually impressive maneuver, and it often involves aerial or acrobatic moves. The squared circle is where all the action happens. The slang for a wrestling ring. And that's it for this video about wrestling terminologies. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Now I know that there's a lot more terminologies than this, of course, but I'm saving that for another video. But for now, I hope this got you more familiar with wrestling. Now, this part of the channel is going to be fully dedicated for wrestling. I'll be posting all things related to wrestling, reviews, news, even terminologies like we just did, maybe even opinions and reviews about matches or storylines, predictions. So if you're interested in that and you're interested to know more about wrestling, then this is just the thing for you. Now, I'm not sure about the time frame for these videos yet, seeing as I'm going through yet another transitional phase, but for the time being we're sticking to just one video a week. Maybe soon there'll be more than that, maybe 2 or 3 a week. Be on the lookout for that. And until next time, my awesome people, stay awesome.